Good morning and welcome to the Brick by Brick podcast with Ronald Paulius. I have a special guest with us this week. Excited, Hayya Lee-McDonald. She's an entrepreneur and has been in the entrepreneurial space for quite some time now. I'm excited to interview her, pick her brain on the different businesses she has started, the different things that has led to her success, and I'm excited to hear what she has for us.
Well, hey,
Our
Ronald.
welcome. Thanks for giving us some of your time here. My
Absolutely.
audience is very inquisitive, they're learners, and they're wanting to build the future brick by brick. And so share with us, give us a little introduction, and we'll go from there.
My name is Hayya, like Ronald said, and I am a wife, a mom, and an entrepreneur. And all of those things kind of intersect with each other. But I love the fact that you said that your audience is inquisitive and, looking to build because that's exactly who I am.
Mm,
If you
mm,
guys have ever heard of the Colby assessment, I am a quick start. That means a very high quick start. That means, um, you know, I'm always looking at things, turning things in different ways, and really looking for always to learn and experience new
mm.
things. And to go with that, I am that person who was, as a child, my parents couldn't tell me, do this without telling me the why. Like, I had to know the why.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
that has
yeah, big time.
persisted. Yeah, that's just who I am. It's persisted now, and it's helped tremendously in my careers that I've had. And I really think it's just a natural strength. And so, I'm happy to be here, happy to inspire other people who are looking to begin their entrepreneurial journey, or if they're on the entrepreneurial journey or a real estate journey, just kind of inspire and help them to understand that, you know, you can do it.
So you said something that intrigued me. You said you're a mom, you're married, you have kids. How are you doing what you're doing with that lifestyle, with being a mom?
Well, I think the first thing that comes is knowing who you are. And,
Mm.
before I came into real estate investing, I had a life coaching business and I worked with a lot of
Oh,
clients.
okay.
And that's one of the things that I would always tell them. They'd ask me all these questions, and it really only came down to who are you? You have to spend time to understand who you are, and then you can understand what you want and align those things with each
Mm.
other. And so for me, yes, this is a challenging journey. I like challenges. I don't run away from challenges.
Yeah, yeah.
But the reason that I became an entrepreneur is exactly the reason, the life that I'm living now. And so when I was in the corporate world, I remember very early in my career, there was a colleague who was pregnant and she left to go have her baby, and she was having difficulty when it was time to come back deciding
Mm.
what to do because they gave her a choice. She could stay home and be with her kids, or she
Wow.
can come to work. So she could give up her kids or give up her job.
Yeah,
And
wow.
I was, just a young person listening in on this. I wasn't in a relationship, wasn't anywhere close to being married, and definitely nowhere close to being a mom. And I'm hearing this, I'm going, I don't want to have to make that choice. I want to
Mm.
be a mom and to have my work.
Mm.
And the other thing for me too is work. A lot of people use work and job interchangeably. They're not the same thing for me. A
Okay.
job is where you go. It's the thing that, you know, produces money and you pay bills with it, etc. Work is what comes from inside of you. It gathers all of your natural gifts and talents and you put that to use
Ah,
in different ways. So if you're
okay.
doing the work that you're called here to do, then it's cliche, but it doesn't really feel like work. It does feel like work sometimes, but it's not something that you will give up on when challenges come your way.
Mm.
So being a mom, being an entrepreneur, being a wife, it all works together. But one of the things that I always also tell people, this journey, yes, it's about building a business and really learning that experience. But there are so many unknowns in being an entrepreneur. For
Mm.
me, it's been a journey of really drawing me closer to God. So my faith is important to me, as well.
Mm.
And this is
Awesome.
one of those spaces as an entrepreneur where you're not going to know everything. And you have to, one, get comfortable with not knowing everything, get comfortable with being
Yeah.
uncomfortable. And then when you're in that place when you don't know anything, who or what are you relying on? And so for
Mm,
me, it has drawn
mm,
me, made my faith stronger. There are definitely many times that things have come through and happened, and I couldn't explain it myself. uh,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and so for me, faith has played a big role because my husband is crucial. We're partners in business,
Mm,
partners in life. Um, None of this would be possible with him by my side. And he and I always talk. We're both very capable people, and we can build things on our own. But together, we've been able to build it much better.
mm.
Hmm. So
That's I'm
it's
I'm
been good.
hearing several things is that are just standing out to me. One, you at the very beginning of your corporate journey, you were looking into someone else who had to make a decision and
Hmm.
you wanted both.
Hmm.
Two,
Yeah.
you have that foundation, your faith, you have your
Hmm.
family, you got your husband, you're working together.
Hmm.
And so that's real clarifying. Could you speak to how you s- let's dive in a little bit more into how you got that level of clarity because
Mm.
I'm sure what did that coworker, what did she end up choosing? Family or work?
Family. Family. Yeah.
Mm,
And there's
awesome.
another experience later on in my career, like just before I became an entrepreneur. And the vice president of that department, she left to go have her baby. And the organization, it was a nonprofit, they found a reason to fire her while she was on maternity leave. That is,
Wow.
I think, in a lot of places not legal. But they found
Wow.
a way to do it. Yeah.
Wow,
So I
wow,
was like,
wow.
this is, being a woman, there are definitely a lot more things you have to think about. Not saying that men don't have a lot of things to think about, but there are challenges in the business world, in the working world, that we have to face and deal with that men don't deal with. And so,
Hmm.
it's just an added layer of difficulty and challenge that you have to
Yeah,
steel your mind to face.
yeah, big time. If I could speak a little towards that, I was working at high school, English teacher at a high school here locally, Oklahoma City, and my wife was pregnant. And so she was thankfully pregnant during the winter time, or she was coming towards the end of her pregnancy towards the winter time. And so
Hmm.
we went to Christmas break. She didn't have the baby. We stayed home. We usually would travel. But going into January, she had our first daughter, Ava, our only child, Ava. And it was the 13th. And I went on my there was a law that passed in Oklahoma for maternity leave and the for men also, but it was the moms who had 6 weeks, and I didn't. I could only use
Oh,
personal
yeah.
days and sick days, and so I used a few personal days. There was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. holiday coming up on that Monday, so I had a long weekend. There was a snow day. Like God just worked out all the details for
Yeah,
me
just
to
pull
stay
from
home.
everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, literally, I
Uh-huh.
I asked a whole bunch of coworkers like, "Hey," because this is my first year as a teacher, so I don't have that many personal days. I have
Mhm.
4 or 5 or whatever it was. I had to use sick day, like just using all the days I could so that I could be
Yeah.
home with my wife. And just to give that male perspective, I too was like, man, I want to be able to just be home.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Joanna's recovering. She just had a birth.
A
Like
whole
she's not
life.
yeah, literally like out of her. And I have to go back to work at 7 a.m. the next day and not be
Yeah.
there to take care of her. And so just the way sometimes the corporate world and just the busyness and the go, 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 you can stop for a second,
Mm.
but keep going way of life here.
Mhm.
I think it's just so rich that you were able to make that decision to have work and to take care of your family.
Mhm. Mhm.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
so
and
valuable.
it is incredibly valuable. And I think one thing that people, when you become an entrepreneur, hopefully most people who become entrepreneurs really understand what is the most valuable thing, because it's not money,
Yes.
it's time.
Yes, yes,
Because
yes,
you
yes.
cannot, it's not replenishable. You
So
don't get it
right.
back.
Yeah,
Um,
so good.
and here's the thing for moms and dads, as you shared from your experience, when your child is just born and in those early years, formative years, one, you don't get it back, and it impacts the rest
Mm-hmm.
of their lives. So if you're not there, you're
Mm-hmm.
setting them up. You're just not giving the best chances of success. And it's not the fault of the parents, but it's something, definitely an impact. One of the things.
Yeah.
So my husband and I, we have two daughters. Our second daughter um, passed away 2.5 years ago. And when
Oh, so sorry for
yeah, that's one of the things where I said, faith is,
mm,
is crucially important, because there's no
mm,
way either of us could have gotten through that.
mm,
But when we were at NICU with her and we were able to be there because we're entrepreneurs, we were able to be there
mm.
every day, round the clock. We were the only parents on that NICU floor. All the other
Wow.
babies, newborns, they had no one except the nurses, because of
Wow.
course I'm sure their parents had to work. It's not that the parents didn't care,
Yeah. Wow. Wow.
but they
Wow.
had to work. And for us, it was a very difficult time, and a very, well, difficult time. But when we sat and thought about it, it was just even sadder that these little babies, part of what helps
Mm,
them recover is having their parents there.
mm.
And they didn't
Yeah.
have that. And,
So
it's
true.
that time that's so important. And during that time, our team ran this business when we were not mentally, emotionally, physically
Mm.
able to be there. So time
Wow.
is,
Wow.
I think, the most important thing. And being an entrepreneur allows you to control the time that you
Mm.
have, because it's limited. You don't know when you're going to go, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so to be able to have control of that time is crucially important.
Wow. Yeah. So true. So true. I think
Mm-hmm.
the yeah. Let me just go on to our next question. They want to hear more from you. Could
Mm-hmm.
you share a significant challenge you face in your entrepreneurial journey? I mean, a challenge that could have could have make or break you, and it made you.
If you want me to just pick one, because I
Eh,
got a lot. Um,
hey, it's
well,
you're the speaker.
yeah, well, I would say the one that comes off the top of my head immediately is being broke. Like, that will really set you back.
Yeah,
If you don't know how to
yeah.
maneuver your way through that. And so when I first became an entrepreneur, um, that same job that I told you the VP got fired from, I
Mm-hmm.
was, as they say, laid off. I think I was
Mm-hmm.
fired. you know,
Yeah,
but it was
yeah.
the happiest day of my life, because
Mm,
I really did not love, didn't even like being there. And actually, my boss, in the first week of me being there, told me that if he wasn't my boss, he would have told me to quit, before, or stop, not interview for the job. Needless to say,
wow.
he became my first coaching client when I started my business. Um, but
Nice.
yeah, that being broke thing, because I was let go, I had no money, and I had just moved to this area. So,
Mm,
there are a lot of things, but I think your mindset is crucially important, as you go into this journey and any journey, just in life. Having, a mindset and determination that you're going to do what you say you're going to do, and not for anybody else or yourself.
mm, mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm,
think, if I had just, one, given into the fact that I've been fired, so what does that mean about me? Am I not good enough? Am I not worthy? And
mm,
by the
mm-hmm.
way, in that same job, um, the director of the department had told me, you're not worth what we're paying you. So had I
Wow.
taken all of this, and just,
Wow.
yeah, had I taken all of this into the new avenue of entrepreneurship and just let it sit there, I wouldn't have gotten anywhere, really. And it wasn't just me; there were people around me. And I really think, there's so many blessings in this. But the person who was the director of HR at the time, she and I became friends. I don't even know how, but we're still friends to this day. She's one of my very good friends. She was the one who drove me home from the hospital, after I had our second daughter.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
so, she was there. She's the one who saw my gift and said, "Hey, have you ever thought of doing this?" That became my coaching business. I went and got certified, became a coach, and realized, hey, this is actually who I am. It's not just a business. Um, but having supportive people around you, when I decided I wanted to start a business and pursue coaching, etc., um, one of the people I thought would be my biggest supporters was my brother. We'd always been close, but he was actually the one person who said, "No, I don't think so. You should go back and get another job because you've done so many things, and this one probably isn't going to
Oh,
stick either." And one of the people I thought I'd get resistance from, my mom, because parents want security and stability for the kids.
yep, yep, yep.
I thought I'd get resistance. She said, "Go for it." And so
Wow.
having, yeah,
Wow.
and my aunt, who's my godmother, she said to me, "Well, I've wanted to do something to help you, like tangibly help you your whole life, and I couldn't pay for the coaching certification program." She said, "All right, let's do it." These
Oh,
are
wow.
all blessings, and if I didn't have those people
Yeah.
who believed in me, I don't know where I'd be. I'd
Mm.
probably be working somewhere, just miserable.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, wow, wow.
Yeah.
That's so rich. That just communicates to me, and for those listening, I hope you're getting this. Your circle matters.
Mhm.
The people who are speaking into your life,
Yeah.
the people who are saying, "Hey, go for it. Hey, don't go for it." And how you receive that, cuz like you said, you could have that one manager who's one boss who said, "What we're paying you, you're not worth it." I mean, can you imagine? It's like, wow, I make $12 an hour and I'm not worth that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
Wow. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing that.
Yeah. No
Thanks for
worries.
sharing that. So
No worries.
with those those who have spoken into your life, and then there are the things that just lined up. We're Christians and we understand God was working out the details there.
Mhm.
Those things that lined up, you were fired, and I were at when you were fired, were you like, yes, I got fired, or were you like, oh,
Oh no, not look. I those are like golden handcuffs. Um,
wow.
that I
I'm
hated,
gonna
but
use that phrase. Wow,
yeah. I
that's good.
mean, at the time, I was making $70,000, and what they ended up doing, I learned about this because one of my also very good friends. I made like three good friends from that job. Forget the job, I made three. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
he told me after the fact, he's like, "Yeah, they'd never rehired your position. They split it into two junior ones so they could pay the people less." So, but yeah, when they said to
Wow.
me, "You have to be out of here by the certain," I was like, "Don't worry, I'll be out of here before that." Don't worry
Man,
about that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, because it was such a distressing place to be in. When you're
mm,
distressed, and I don't mean like any kind of psychological issues, when it's the place is causing you so much stress,
mm,
you gotta change that. And
yeah,
I wasn't going to because here I have the $70 paycheck and bills to pay. So the logical thing is, why would you leave and you don't have a backup plan? So they
yeah,
fired me, and I was like,
yeah.
"Thank you."
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
If I'm sure there are people listening, my listeners, they're on their way to work right now as it's the early morning hours. They feel like they have these golden handcuffs also. It's real nice or it looks nice, but really they're constrained and in this situation where it's hard for them to get out.
Mhm.
If I have a business idea, if I don't, if I want something different, if I'm a mom and I'm hearing you say you get to be with your kiddos, you get to be with your child,
Mhm.
and their most darkest hours, you lost one. So sorry for your loss. And
Thank you.
you have one that you're raising now, and you have that freedom to bring in the income you want
Mm-hmm.
and to be with the child that you want to be with.
Yep.
What are you saying to me? Do I just jump off the ledge and do it? What do I do to get free?
Well, probably don't do what I did. Don't get fired and not have a backup plan, especially if you have a family. I mean, look, it's easier if you're single and nobody's relying on you. It's easier. I'll say,
True, true,
all right.
true,
Don't go
true,
get yourself fired though. But I would say
true.
someone said this to me years ago. Think of your job as a loan, and so use that money to
Mm,
fund where you're trying to go. So that means you need to look at where
mm,
you're spending your money and your
that's
time and
good.
allocate it differently before you leave that
That's
place.
good.
The
Yeah.
other thing that I always tell people, and I used to tell my coaching clients this, is there were jobs that I hated. I mean, really hated, and there were terrible experiences. But the reason that you're good in any of the jobs that you've taken, or there's some element of something you're good at, is because it's pointing to a natural gift within you. You have to figure out
Mm,
what that is and bring that into your business too. You don't just throw
mm.
away everything from those past experiences and never think about
Oh,
it
that's
again.
good.
Yeah. So you leverage. Um,
Yeah.
so I think
Mm,
the key word here is leveraging your time, leveraging the money they're paying you right now, leveraging your experience, your gifts, all of
mm,
that stuff. Leverage it.
mm.
Mhm.
That's so good. Jim Rohn, he said this: when you're working at a job, don't ask what am I being paid? He said, ask what am I becoming?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I think so many times we're cultivated and grown into this mindset of, okay, I'm getting this job, it's $12 an hour. Okay, this one's 20. This one's but we don't ask what am I
Mhm.
becoming? We don't
Mhm.
ask what am I learning? I think your high side of figuring out your gifts, oh, that's so rich.
Mhm.
That is so rich because
Yeah.
going for like it was someone else who highlighted in you like, hey, you have this coaching ability. Oh, that's so rich.
Yeah. Um, it's and when I say understand who you are and identify your gifts, it's not usually an easy process. But if you surround yourself with other people who will speak to you honestly and
Mm,
candidly,
mm-hmm,
then
mm-hmm,
you're going to start to uncover what those are. Um, and it's important to do
mm-hmm.
so because, even if you're in a job, because entrepreneurship isn't for everybody, even if you're in your job, I always would tell my clients, think of it, you are your business, even if you're in a job. And so if if you're going to be in a job and do business with that company by you being there, then how do you want to be compensated? Not just with money, but in all the
Mm,
ways that compensation encompasses. How do you want to be compensated? Treat yourself as a business, not, oh, I'm going to pick up my bag and go to work and spend 8 hours here and that's it. Is that why you came
mm.
to this life? I don't really think so, because if it was, then we should all just give up now and go.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's not what it's
yeah.
for. Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Uh,
even in a job, I don't want to, get all biblical here, but whatever you're doing, the Bible says, whatever you're doing, do it in the service of God. So even if that's where you're meant to be in the job,
mm-hmm.
do it to the best of your ability. Do it. You're serving someone bigger than yourself, bigger than this world, bigger than the job. So,
I think highlighting that is so pivotal because a lot of people don't have that higher purpose. A lot of people
mhm,
don't have that high level of accountability, if you will.
mhm,
And sometimes it's just, oh well, I'm just doing this, right? I'm doing this because I want to party on a weekend. All right. And I mean, is yeah, having that higher purpose. I'm glad you mentioned God. That's that's why I do what I do.
mhm, mhm.
And
Yeah.
in doing what I'm doing, I'm taking care of my family in the process.
Mhm. Absolutely. Here's like a practical thing with that example you gave, and it's not just with that example. Are you okay with just living your life on the weekends when you're not at work? Is that okay with you? So
Mm,
you've got 48 hours to have life and 5 times 24 to do stuff that isn't living. Like, is that okay with you?
no, no, no.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, oh, that's so good. Yeah. I've had
Hmm.
coworkers who lived for the weekend but didn't live during the
All the
week.
way through. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
Oh, that's that's rich. My mind is just like boo, 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 and I'm like taking notes because I am. This is for me. Golden
Hmm.
handcuffs, living for the weekend, not living for the week.
Hmm.
Thank you so much. I think what we'll do here is I'm going to ask you one more question, and this is just I am. I'll ask you one more question because we're kind of coming towards the end of this episode here. But I want you to share one. I'm a listener. I'm driving to work. I'm hearing the freedom you have. I
Hmm.
desire that freedom, that time freedom, that location freedom to be able to spend a week in the hospital with a family member
Hmm.
and it not cost me. The freedom to say I want to be able to do what I love, use my abilities and my gifts and not use that and do that at the expense of my kids growing up alone. I
Hmm.
want what you're talking about. What what do you say to me that's driving to work right now? I have the golden handcuffs on. You have just a short moment to give me a coaching a coaching line. What do you say?
Why? I call it, this is an exercise I would do
Mm,
when I teach, when I work with my coaching clients, when I work with people who are learning wholesaling from me. The first thing we start with is why. And I call it the 7 levels of why. Because you're going to tell yourself, oh, yes, because I want time freedom and I want to spend it with my kids. Okay, why is that important? And I want X, Y, Z.
mm,
Okay, let's go a little deeper. So you get all the way down as granular as possible to
mm,
find out the real reason why. And you need to understand that reason why because, like I said earlier in the conversation, there are going to be challenges that come up. You know,
mm,
some are going to be
mm-hmm.
bigger than others. But if your why is not solidified and you're not clear on it, when it gets difficult, our natural tendency is to go to something else, like go to where it's
So
not
true.
difficult, right? And
So
so if
true.
you say this is your dream and this is what you want, then there has to be something that affects you on a cellular level. The reason you're doing it affects you on a cellular level that makes you not want to give up. I'll be very
Mm,
transparent. Um, After our daughter's passing, everything changed for me. The
mm,
business, I still loved our team, the work we're doing is good, etc. But I didn't know where I wanted to fit in all of this,
mm,
anymore because it
mm-hmm.
didn't mean the same thing anymore. And there were times in the business where I just felt, all right, well, I'll let somebody else run it. I'll just give it up. But then it came down to it. I want to make change in this world. When I die, I want to make sure that I I'm going to heaven one. Two,
Mm.
I want to make
Yes.
sure. I forgot who the author is, but I want to make sure that I've used everything that I was given and used it. So the passage that has always guided me is let your light shine before others so they can see the goodness of God. That's what I've always that's what it all boils down to for me. And so, it's like, okay, well if you quit now, one, where are you going? Like, are you going
Yeah.
back to corporate? Because no, that's not it.
Yeah.
Two, if you quit now, what happens to the other people who depend on this company, for
Mhm.
their jobs and their
That's
livelihood?
viable.
Because it's
That's
going to affect
viable.
how their children grow up. Are you okay with, like just turning the whole world upside down? No, I'm not.
Yeah, that's viable.
The impact reaches far beyond just me. And so when I asked myself that question, it wasn't okay for me to just give up. You know, my nature isn't to give up, but it just was not, it didn't match. It didn't
Yeah.
align.
Yeah.
So you have to understand the
Mm.
why on a cellular level.
Oh, so rich. So rich. Thank you.
You're
Hayya
welcome.
Lee, how can my listeners get a hold of you? Where can they reach
So
out to you?
I think the easiest way, I'm on Facebook, of course, but IG is the easiest
Okay.
place to get me. It's Hayya Lee underscore McD. My husband laughs. I have like all of my the letters of my name didn't fit on my license. I have two middle names. So it's Hayya Lee underscore McD on Instagram. So looking forward to connecting with you all. Reach out if you want to chat, get inspiration, all of that good stuff. I'm happy to do it.
Hayya Lee, thank you for your time. Thanks for
Hmm.
sharing that precious resource we don't get back with us. And I'll put all of your contact in the link and notes below so that
Hmm.
those who are like, I need to get a hold of her, will be able to. Thank you so much for your
Awesome.
time. Thanks for listening to the
Thank
Brick by
you.
Brick podcast with Ron and Paulius. Hope you have a good day. Bye bye.